Here's one for you. So, I've often maintained that the podcasts that I've done were practice. Practice for what? You might ask, and I might ask myself. And I never really knew. But I was confident that they were still practice. Because you can practice getting better and not have a specific goal in mind. Now, look, if you have ambitions of being a fucking world-class weightlifter, I would advise you to practice lifting weights. And you know, if you want to be an athlete, practice eating right, practice training, blah, 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 when you know exactly what it is that you want to do. But what I'm getting to here is just getting better. And it's something that I've learned in my business. I, in my innocence, thought that you could pay people good money, give them essentially an unlimited amount of work to do, and they would, you know, work hard and do well, and everybody would win. I say in my innocence because that it hasn't transpired like that. That's not how it's worked out. And as an employer, as a kind of a, not a budding employer, but as a budding employer, I'm only employing people a wet week in the grand scheme of things, and I have a hell of a lot to learn about managing people and sourcing good men and all the rest of it. But one thing has become abundantly clear. One man's version of working hard isn't equivalent to another man's version of working hard. That much I have figured out. And the people who think they work hard but don't, at least don't in my estimation, have never worked hard. And I think hard work, as unspecific as that might be, I think hard work is a skill in itself. And I think that if you work hard at anything, becoming the best hairdresser, becoming the best podcaster, becoming the best fucking anything, if you work hard at something, you on one hand, get better at that specific something, but you improve your work ethic. And a mistake that I made growing up was, so I had 100 different jobs ever since and before I was legally allowed to be employed by anybody. I've always had a job, I've always worked, and I've always worked hard. And I suppose because I fucking had to. But I've gotten good at working hard in a multiple of different occupations, say. But I fucked up. I never took on a managerial role in any of the positions that I had. And even if I was never offered the opportunity, I wouldn't have taken it, because my view of managerial roles were, why would you bother? Why would you take on all that responsibility for typically fuck all extra? You know, you'd be working in, I don't know, let's say a filling station or petrol station for you Yanks, gas station even. You'd be working in one of them and you'd be behind the till and you'd be on, I don't know, 25 grand a year. And the manager will be on 27 grand a year. And you'd be like, everybody hates him. He has to look over your shoulder all the time. He has all these different responsibilities. Why would you bother your arse? Now, I wasn't being lazy by any stretch of the imagination. I used to work in a filling station, and there was what ended up being called a Frano shift, because there was 3 main shifts. There was 4. There was 7 in the morning till 3 o'clock in the day, then 3 o'clock in the day till 11 o'clock at night, and then there was the night shift, 11 o'clock at night till 7 o'clock in the morning. And that was it was a 24-hour filling station, and that was your 3 8-hour shifts. And then the 4th one was a 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. shift, which was essentially the busiest part of the day, where you'd need maybe 2 or an extra member of staff, say, to cover. And a Frano shift was 7 in the morning till 11 o'clock at night. Because we'd be down, somebody mightn't want to come in on the 3 to 11 shift, and they'd ask everybody who wasn't working that day, would they work it? But they never asked me to work it if I was working 7 to 3 that day, because of course I'm not going to work from 7 o'clock in the fucking morning till 11 o'clock at night. But I was glad to do it. Glad to do it. Because I wanted fucking to earn more money. And I mean, it wasn't exactly a physically strenuous job. You're standing behind the till serving people. It was, tough but grand. I got on with it. So I wasn't afraid of hard work. Now, I was never offered a managerial role in that job. But if I was, I wouldn't have taken it. And I was offered managerial positions in different jobs that I had, and I never took them because the cost to benefit ratio was never good. The amount of extra responsibility and headaches and all the rest of it for what you were getting out of it, didn't match up to me. But that was a mistake in hindsight, because I was devaluing what I would have learned. And I would have much rather, again, with the benefit of hindsight, I would have much rather learned how to manage people and how to spot the red flags of a lazy fuck on somebody else's time, rather than have to have such a steep learning curve and make the mistakes essentially myself. Because when you're making the mistakes yourself as an employer, it's costing you money. Like, time is fucking money. And if it takes you 6 months to realise somebody's not really a good fit, you'd be far better off realising that after, a fortnight. Or maybe even better again, putting parameters in place so that they don't get a chance to be a lazy bastard. Put parameters in place whereby it's more obvious that putting parameters in place whereby they stand out more. So a big part of what I'm trying to do a big part of what I'm trying to implement in my place of business at the minute is what I'm kind of referring to myself in my own head as getting rid of all the hiding places. Because certain types of people will hide when given the chance. They'll slack off when given the chance. And the more of those opportunities that you eradicate from your business, the less opportunity there is for people to take the piss, essentially. And on that note, I'll chat to you soon.